everybody. Let's talk about mounts. Let's talk about mounts in the Pulp Alley skirmish game, the adventure game. Lots of fun, boys and girls. So, whether or not you're new to Pulp Alley, we're going to cover some of the basics, some of the broad ideas. But even if you're a longtime player, I'd like you to watch this one because we're going to cover some tips and ideas that maybe you hadn't thought of yet. So, mounts are a legit thing in Pulp Alley. You can have mounted characters. You can either use your resources to select a mount as an asset, just like you would anything else. You can also have leagues that are specifically geared towards being mounted by taking the rider's perk and things like that. And you can take an individual ability that will give just that character will just normally gets a mount. You can also include it in your scenarios if you're doing like a scenario and you just want to have some mounts in it, then by all means, throw some mounts out there on the table and let the characters try and jump on them or whatever you can. Just like vehicles, mounts are a loose mount, a mount that doesn't have anybody on it, is normally considered free game, and anybody could jump on it and try and take it for a ride. Lots of fun. Let's check this out now. So here are some of the big, broad, basic rules about mounts. They're covered here on page 117, 118. So I guess the two big ones are that when you're mounted, you can move up to 16 inches instead of 12. So it gives you a little boost on your movement. The other thing it does is that you're normally going to count as being in cover. You automatically get a cover save if you're mounted. And you can freely disengage from an enemy if you want to. Even if the enemy is mounted, you're free to move away when you activate if you are mounted. So that's really nice too. Now, as far as mounting and dismounting, that is really just handled as part of the character's movement. And when you do either one of those, it ends your movement, but it doesn't end your activation. That means you could jump on a mount and then still, do a shootout with somebody, or if they were in contact with you, you could brawl them. You could also dismount and still be able to perform an action as long as you didn't move over 6 inches. That rule still applies. That's pretty cool. But remember, normally mounted characters cannot perform actions, and that's because basically, remember that actions are intended to represent those things that require a little extra time, a little extra concentration. So when you're mounted, that extra time and that extra concentration is devoted to staying on your mount and remaining mounted. So if you want to perform an action, you've got to get off the horse. Now, we had always intended, when we do like, a Western supplement with Western scenarios and things like that, that we might include some skills specifically for mounted characters, kind of broaden that out a little bit, like a trick rider sort of ability, I think would be cool. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Now, I already mentioned that a character, when they're mounted, automatically counts as being in cover. However, if you roll a 1 on your cover save, then that means not only were you injured, but your mount was destroyed as well. So that gives you that little rule in there for losing your horse or your mount from out from underneath you. I guess I'll take a moment right here and talk about the idea that mounts are not just animals. A mount could be a wide variety of different stuff. It could be some sort of mechanical contraption. You can see out here on the table, we have these skimmers out here. Certainly not animals. These are skimmers from our Pulp Alley collection. But you could also, what about using a motorcycle? Now you could, if you had a motorcycle, you could use it as maybe a size 1 vehicle, or you could use the mount rules. You should have that sort of flexibility in there. If you had some sort of odd gadget that you have, and I think there is an asset that you could get that counts as a mount as well. So there's a lot of different things that you could do with mounts. In fact, for the games that I'm going to be playing on Sunday, I have been toying with the idea of making one of these robots be a mounted troop. So using that to kind of represent their speed, their extra power, that sort of thing. So that's another way that you can use the mounted rules is in different little ideas like that. Isn't that cool? All right, let's see what else. Riderless mounts will normally wander around, and there is a whole list of abilities that you can use for mounts. So a basic mount is a basic mount, and it doesn't normally come with any extra abilities. But if you'd like to spend more points on it, then you could pick out some cool stuff. You could make a flying mount. You could make an aggressive mount and on an armored mount and on and on and on. So you could have a lot of fun with kind of customizing your mounts as well. All right, boys and girls, if you have any questions about mounts and how to use them in the game, leave them in the comments below. And while you're at it, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're a subscriber, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.